there, and good day. Thank you so much for joining me at Dystopian Report, the place where we talk about the nightmare world we have found ourselves in. I'm your host, Jesse Pullman, and today is May 12th. It's about 10:30 p.m. EDT as I make this. Today we're going to do a little bit of a half of a deep dive, sort of like my previous video about Curtis Yarvin, which is report number 18, and dig into someone who I referenced in that video, but who I haven't gotten a chance to do a full read on, and I'm definitely not getting all the way there today. Today we're talking about Peter Thiel. But first, I just want to thank everyone for all the support and watching and all of that on episode 35, which was our last video. I had no idea we'd hit a new viewership record for Dystopian Report videos, let alone more than double up our previous record. We had over 600 views as of the time I'm making this, so that's pretty amazing. And I have a lot of thoughts on everyone's feedback. There's one thread, the thread of progress and what that means, that was hit on a lot, and I think that's interesting. That's for another video, because I wanted to do this one, and that's why I'm doing this one. Anyway, the way this works is pretty simple. I sit down with you and skim through Wikipedia on a topic or person, along with maybe some secondary articles and secondary sources as well. It is not meant to replace your own research, merely to pique your curiosity and get you started on a topic, in this case, Peter Thiel. From here on out, it's not scripted, it's just what we come up with. So let's take a look at Peter Thiel's wiki. Now, immediately, as you go to Peter Thiel's wiki, you'll notice that for the Olympic skier, see Peter Thiel cross-country skier. So they've got disambiguation. In other words, you know this is who you're talking to, you know this is who you're talking about. Anyway, Peter Andreas Thiel, born October 11th, that's one day before me, 1967, that's a few years before me, is an American entrepreneur, venture capitalist, and political activist. A co-founder of PayPal, Palantir Technologies, and Founders Fund, he was the first outside investor in Facebook. According to Forbes, as of 28th April 2025, I love the way that's written in European, Thiel's estimated net worth stood at $19.1 billion, making him the 102nd richest individual in the world. Don't you love that we have that information down to date? So he graduated from Stanford, began his career as a clerk for Judge James Larry Edmondson, worked as a securities lawyer at Sullivan & Cromwell, a speechwriter for former U.S. Secretary of Education William Bennett, and a derivatives trader at Credit Suisse. He founded Thiel Capital Management in 1996 and co-founded PayPal with Max Levchin and Luke Nosek in 1998. He was the chief executive officer of PayPal until it sold to eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion in 2002 money. So, following PayPal, Thiel founded Clarion Capital, a global macro hedge fund based in San Francisco. In 2003, he launched Palantir Technologies, a big data analysis company, and has been its chairman since its inception. I almost said obsession. That would be incorrect, although he probably is obsessed. In 2005, Thiel launched Founders Fund with PayPal partners Ken Howery and Luke Nosek. Thiel became Facebook's first outside investor when he acquired a 10.2% stake in the company for $500,000 in August 2004. He sold the majority of his shares in Facebook for over $1 billion in 2012 and stepped down from the board of directors in 2022. He co-founded Valar Ventures, if you're noticing a theme here, that's okay, in 2010, and co-founded Mithril Capital, again, a trend, in investment committee chair in 2012, and was a part-time partner at Y Combinator from 2015 to 2017. So we're going to stop right here. Pause. Why are we pausing? Well, we've got most of his career information right there, right? That is, in a very nuts and bolts way, everything you need to know about him business-wise. And if business-wise that was all that was up, that might be a different conversation. But there's two things to notice about him. One, big in the Silicon Valley ring. And two, this dude has a thing for Lord of the Rings. Which is no hate, I'm a sci-fi fantasy author. I've read Lord of the Rings. I like Lord of the Rings. I read it in high school. It was a big inspiration to me. I taught The Hobbit in tutoring. So, I get liking Tolkien. But there's more. A conservative libertarian, Thiel has made substantial donations to American right-wing figures and causes. He was controversially granted New Zealand citizenship in 2011 after the fifth national government intervened on his behalf. Thiel had spent 12 non-consecutive days in the country, a fraction of the normal residency requirement of 1,350 days for citizenship. In other words, he bends rules a lot. Through the Thiel Foundation, Thiel governs the grant-making bodies Breakout Labs and Thiel Fellowship, which fund nonprofit research into artificial intelligence, life extension, and seasteading. In 2016, Thiel confirmed that he had funded Hulk Hogan in the Bolea, I don't know how to say that, Bolea, I don't know, versus Gawker lawsuit because Gawker had previously added Thiel as gay. The lawsuit eventually bankrupted Gawker and led to founder Nick Denton's bankruptcy. So, this is a guy who might come after you if you talk about him. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's when I say, show your support by hitting that subscribe button. I know I'm tiny, teeny tiny, but who knows? So, early life and education, right? He was born in West Germany. The family immigrated to the United States when Peter was 1 year old and lived in Cleveland, Ohio, where his father worked as a chemical engineer. His father worked for various mining companies, which created an itinerant upbringing for Thiel and his younger brother. Thiel's mother became a U.S. citizen, but his father did not. He eventually became a U.S. citizen as well. Before settling in Foster City, California in 1997, the Thiel family lived in South Africa and Southwest Africa, modern-day Namibia. Peter changed elementary schools 7 times. He attended a school in, I can't pronounce that required students to wear uniforms and utilized corporal punishment, such as striking students' hands with a ruler. He said this experience instilled a distaste for uniformity and regimentation, later reflected in his support for individualism and libertarianism. Right. Thiel played Dungeons and Dragons and was an avid reader of science fiction, with Isaac Asimov and Robert A. Heinlein among his favorite authors. He's a fan of J.R.R. Tolkien's work, stating as an adult that he read The Lord of the Rings over 10 times. Thiel has founded 6 firms. 6. With names originating from Tolkien, and that's not all he's involved with. We'll go into that. Thiel's a mathematics head. We're not going to get into every single detail of his stuff, but I will say that when he was in college at Stanford University, the replacement of a Western culture program at Stanford with a culture, ideals, and values course that addressed diversity and multiculturalism prompted Thiel to co-found the Stanford Review, a conservative and libertarian newspaper, in 1987. So he's founding conservative things even at a young age. He's apparently maintained his relationship with the paper, according to this. Thiel enrolled in Stanford Law and earned his Juris Doctorate degree in 1992. While at Stanford, he met René Girard, whose mimetic theory influenced him. Mimetic theory, real quick, is mimetic theory of desire and explanation of human behavior and culture, originated with the French historian, literary critic, and philosopher of social science René Girard. The name of the theory derives from the philosophical concept mimesis, which carries a wide range of meanings. Cool. So, Thiel was a law clerk. He did a bunch of stuff. Upon returning to the Bay Area, he capitalized on the dot-com boom. He raised $1 million toward the establishment of Thiel Capital Management and embarked on his venture capital career. He lost some money initially, but eventually they came up with an idea for a cryptography-related company. They called FieldLink. They called Confinity. And eventually they came up with a little thing called PayPal. Right? So here's where we start reading less from the wiki and more from like what breaks the wiki down into smaller bits. And again, if you're sitting there ready to type into the comment section as someone did, oh, we're just reading the Wikipedia. Kinda, yeah, that's the point, right? This is supposed to get you interested. This isn't supposed to be a detailed dive. That said, PayPal, right? Everyone knows Elon Musk was in PayPal. Not everyone knows Peter Thiel was in PayPal. But he was involved in PayPal. He had a lot to say about it. We mentioned earlier some stuff about it, and PayPal went public on the 15th of February in 2002 and was bought by eBay for $1.5 billion in October. So he remained CEO of the company. His 3.7% stake in the company was worth $55 million at the time of acquisition. In Silicon Valley circles, Thiel is colloquially referred to as the Don of the PayPal Mafia. The PayPal Mafia has a whole article of its own. It's a thing. It's a group of people. It's a consortium. so to speak. Not like a literal consortium, but a metaphorical one. Theoretical one. Maybe a practical one for Rabute Gilliman. I'm quoting Warhammer 40k. It's been a long day. So, I'm going to stop right here, take a breather, because where we go next is to Palantir, which in Lord of the Rings, if I'm not mistaken, it's basically a crystal ball. You look into it and it shows you what you want to see. The thing with the crystal balls in Lord of the Rings is that they're corrupted, I think, or at least some of them are. So what you see might be hijacked by outside entities, which, oh boy, sounds like fun, doesn't it? So he created Clarion Capital, Thiel did, making bets on currency, but ultimately Clarion didn't succeed. Palantir, on the other hand, was incorporated in May 2003 as a big data analysis company named after the Tolkien artifact. He continued as its chairman as of 2022. Thiel stated that the idea for the company was based on the realization that, quote, the approaches that PayPal had used to fight fraud could be extended into other contexts like fighting terrorism, unquote. Sounds concerning. He also stated that after the September 11th attacks, the debate in the United States was, quote, will we have more security with less privacy or less security with more privacy, unquote. He envisioned Palantir's data mining services to government intelligence agencies that were maximally unintrusive and traceable. Palantir's first backer was the Central Intelligence Agency's venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel. The company steadily grew and in 2015 was valued at $20 billion, with Thiel being the company's largest shareholder. So we're going to switch over to Palantir's Wikipedia page because Palantir has one too. And we're just going to scroll real quick. Actually, we're not going to scroll, are we? I don't know what we're doing. Like I said, this isn't scripted. If you're still with me, I appreciate you being with me. I really do. It's just like, you know, this is how it goes, right? This is how we look at how people are connected. It's got a lot of information about the company's history. Products. So, released in 2008, Palantir Gotham is Palantir's defense and intelligence offering. It's an evolution of Palantir's long-standing work in the United States intelligence community and is used by foreign and defense agencies. Among other things, the software supports alerts, geospatial analysis, and prediction. Foreign customers include the Ukrainian military. Hooray! Palantir Gotham has also been used as a predictive policing system, which has elicited some controversy over racism in their AI analytics. Gee, we're shocked. Palantir Foundry is a software platform for use in commercial and civil government sectors. It is popularized for use in the health sector by its use within the National COVID Cohort Collaborative, a secure enclave of electronic health records from across the United States that produce hundreds of scientific manuscripts, and won the NIH FASEB, I don't believe I got that right, DataWorks Grand Prize. Foundry was also used by the Centre NHS England in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic in England to analyze the operation of the vaccination program. A campaign was started against the company in June 21 by Foxglove, a tech justice nonprofit, because, quote, their background has generally been in contracts where people are harmed, not healed, unquote. Cool. What else do they got? They got Apollo, which is a continuous delivery system that manages and deploys Palantir, Gotham, and Foundry. Apollo orchestrates updates to stuff, and it's got other stuff going on as well. It's also got an artificial intelligence platform, which is, you know, probably a large language model, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I saw that. Yep, large language model right there. Agents can interact with the digital representation of a company's business known as an ontology. Okay, you're getting into the weeds now. Palantir's Titan, Tactical Intelligence Targeting Access Node, is a truck that is advertised as a mobile ground station for AI applications. After being prototyped with IRAD funds, I don't know what an IRAD is, infrared radar, I don't know. The project is now in partnership with Anduril Industries. That's another Tolkien reference. We'll get to Anduril because he's involved. Northrop Grumman and other contractors. The company claims that Titan can improve customers' ability to conduct long-range precision strikes. So, we're not just talking about intelligence gathering anymore. We're talking about hitting things, killing people. Fun! Palantir is on a contract to deliver 10 units to the U.S. Army. And there's more. There's a lot more. But basically, it's an information warfare platform where it gathers up information like this video and does stuff with it to create basically tactical packages, I guess. I don't know. So Peter Thiel, right? Going back to his Wikipedia page. He was involved in Facebook. Is there a lot there? Maybe. I would have thought less so before, like, November. Now, I'm a little less surprised to see that. But also, he created a thing called Founders Fund in 2005, a San Francisco-based venture capital fund. And there are a lot of the same names, you know, Ken Howery, Luke Nosek, PayPal people, right? And Founders Fund has funded things such as, but not included, and not limited to, I imagine, Airbnb, Slide.com, LinkedIn, Friendster, Rapleaf, Jenny.com, Yammer, Yelp Incorporated, Spotify, PowerSet, Practice Fusion, MetaMed, Vator, SpaceX, Palantir Technologies, Ironport, Vodafone, Asana, Big Think, Caplinks, Quora, Nanotronics Imaging, Ripple with a Y, TransferWise, Stripe, Block.one, and AltSchool. Thiel also backed DeepMind, a UK startup that was acquired by Google in early 2014 for $400 million. It's also invested in Clearview AI. Cool. That's a lot of companies, and I don't want to make a sweeping generalization and say that Peter Thiel's involved, so they're all bad. That's not how anything works. But it does mean Peter Thiel took an interest in you, and there might be a reason for that with some of these things. You know, you could say SpaceX for obvious reasons. Starlink's kind of important. But you could also just look at something like Friendster and say, well, that failed, didn't it? Well, it was in the same vein as Facebook, which, now that you think about it, is information. That's how Facebook makes his money, by selling your data. So there you go. He also has Valar Ventures, an internationally focused venture firm he co-founded with Andrew McCormick and James Fitzgerald. They invested in Xero, a software firm headquartered in New Zealand. That's kind of how they allegedly bribed their way into being, how Thiel bribed his way into being a citizen of New Zealand. He also invested in New Zealand firms Pacific Fiber and BookTrack. In June 2012, he launched Mithril Capital Management. I mushmouthed that, so I'll try that again. In June 2012, he launched Mithril Capital Management, named after the fictitious metal in Lord of the Rings, with Jim O'Neill and A.J. Royan. It targets companies that are beyond the startup stage and ready to scale up. In 2015, he joined Y Combinator as one of 10 part-time partners. In 2017, they severed ties, and in 2021, Thiel apparently became an FBI informant against them. I think Y Combinator had something to do with, I want to say, like, Simon Bankman-Fried, or Samuel Bankman-Fried. I don't know the guy's name. I didn't follow crypto that closely. Okay. So we've got a bunch of stuff at the Gawker lawsuit, which is just a tragedy against the free press, but that's another story. I want to take a break from his Wikipedia page and go to Enderal Industries Incorporated. So, this is an American defense company that specializes in autonomous systems, in other words, modern-day warfare. Enderal aims to sell to the U.S. Department of Defense, including AI and robotics. Its major products include unmanned aerial systems and counter-unmanned aerial systems, semi-portable autonomous surveillance systems, and networked command and control software. That sounds like Skynet. Okay, so how does Peter Thiel fit into this? Because it fits the theme of those names, right? Those names. Well, in June 2014, Palmer Luckey, the creator of the virtual reality headset Oculus Rift, which, by the way, if you don't remember, Oculus is a Facebook product last I checked, right? It's Meta. Palmer Luckey attended a retreat on Sonora Island, British Columbia, hosted by Founders Fund, an early Oculus investor. Luckey met Trey Stevens, 30, who had recently been persuaded to leave Palantir and join Founders Fund by its leader Thiel. Lucky and Stevens discovered a shared interest in seeking defense contracts for companies built like tech startups. Quote, Stevens found it ridiculous that almost no venture-backed companies work closely with government with its billions of dollars to spend, aside from Palantir and SpaceX. Founders Fund was also an early SpaceX investor. It's almost like they're all connected. They're all connected, man. So, what exactly was their goal? Well, there's a lot there. It had to do with the Oculus headset and basically equipping soldiers with Oculus headsets to be better soldiers, to pilot UAVs, I guess. So products, for example, right? The Altius Agile Launch Tactically Integrated Unmanned Systems is a series of fixed-wing, tube-launched unmanned aerial vehicles developed by Area 1, an Atlanta-based subsidiary that Anduril acquired in 2021. The 600 model accepts a modular payload on the nose. It can be launched from various different launchers and platforms, including C-130 aircraft, which look like that, UH-60 Blackhawks, which look like that, and various ground vehicles, as well as larger UAVs, including the MQ-1C Grey Eagle and Kratos XQ-58 Valkyrie Stealth UCAV. Pretty cool, right? Anvil, also known as Interceptor, is an unmanned combat aerial vehicle quadcopter designed principally to attack other unmanned aerial vehicles. Uses computer vision and rams targets. So it's basically like its job is to kind of run into each other, like run into the other UAV. Barracuda is a low-cost air-launched cruise missile. Bolt and Bolt M are UAVs that come in military and civilian configurations. M stands for munitions. Products operate on the Lattice AI network, whatever that is. Can be carried in a backpack and deployed in 5 minutes. It includes swappable batteries for extending flight time. Its purpose is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Have I bored you to death yet? I hope not. We're just getting started, and we're 22 minutes in. So I want to turn it over to an article by Paris Marx to kind of give us a little bit more of a focused wrap-up before we get into Thiel's politics. Peter Thiel's influence over a network of Lord of the Rings-inspired companies. The tech billionaire can't stop naming companies after Tolkien's fantasy world. This is again by Paris Marx of Disconnect. I know it's a Substack. I know Substack has a problem with certain far-right elements being involved with it, but this came out before the biggest scandals, I think, so we're gonna just move right along. I have a Substack too, technically. I just haven't written in it since things went south. December. Once they started talking Elon Musk up as a free speech person, I was like, I've lost all my patience. So anyway, this article talks, I'm not going to read the whole thing. This article talks about many of the companies that he's involved in. For example, Palantir, we talked about Anduril, we talked about Valar. It's based on the holy beings that can take many forms and kind of like our semi-gods in the world of Arda. Okay, we get the point, right? So angel investing kind of, sort of, but just for like New Zealand, I guess. I mean, you know. There's Naria Capital. This firm was co-founded by J.D. Vance in 2020 with $100 million from Thiel in his network to get it started. Thiel also funded Vance's 2022 Senate campaign to the tune of $15 million, by the way. Thanks, Paris Marx. So the Naria is one of 3 elven rings linked to Sauron's One Ring, also known as the Ring of Fire. It's supposed to inspire hope and allow the bearer to resist the weariness of time, but like all rings of power, when Sauron has the One Ring, he can influence the person wearing Naria, not unlike the influence Thiel wields over Vance. That is some brilliant fucking writing, I'm just gonna say. Mithril, Rivendell, and Lembas. Mithril Capital Management is where Vance first entered Thiel's employment in 2016, although apparently he didn't show up much. The company had to get investigated by the FBI. Rivendell 1 and Lembas Capital. Rivendell is a city in Lord of the Rings, and Lembas is the bread that the elves eat. Is more like holding companies for Thiel shares in Facebook. So cool. Athelius Aphelios or King's Foil is a weed in Middle Earth. It heals you. So this is a software platform that helps businesses manage their revenues, or healthcare businesses. Iluvatar. Before Middle Earth of the Valar existed, there was Eru Iluvatar, the deity who created other angelic beings and ultimately the world of Arda itself. Iluvatar Corex is a semiconductor company based in Nanjing, founded in 2015 by experts from Silicon Valley and China. This might be the one Thiel has no connection to, says Paris Marx, the author of this article. But it would not surprise me if Thiel found himself a way into this, because if you can have your own semiconductor company under your control, you get a lot of data really quickly. So we're going to talk about Peter Thiel's political views a little bit. In the Curtis Yarvin video, we mentioned that Yarvin and Thiel have a buddy-buddy relationship. Thiel is a self-described conservative libertarian. Since the late 2010s, he has espoused support for national conservatism, that sounds interesting, and criticized economically liberal attitudes towards free trade and big tech. In 2014, he authored an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal headlined "Competition is for Losers" and gave a Y Combinator lecture by the same title, in which he advised companies to maximize profits by seeking out a monopoly. There's an old video on this channel about monopolies. I don't know if it got butchered like my death penalty one did by there used to be a thing on YouTube called annotations, where you could kind of just put up a graphic in the video as an overlay, sort of. And that's gone now, and that losing that kind of ruined at least one of my videos, which I should probably remake. That's another story. Maybe another day. Thiel complained in a 2009 essay that he had come to no longer believe that freedom and democracy were compatible, in large part due to welfare beneficiaries and women in general being notoriously tough for libertarians' constituencies. And he was focused on new technologies that could create a new space for freedom beyond current politics. This essay is in reference by Curtis Yarvin and Nick Land, the main theorists of the neo-reactionary movement, in their writings. Yeah, he was influenced by the September 11th attacks, but I mean, who wasn't? A quote of his is, "I would say that we lived in a world where bits were unregulated and atoms were regulated." In 2019, Google was seemingly treasonous because they worked with China on DeepMind or something like that. Also, this is just conspiracy theory bait at this point, but Thiel is a steering committee member of the Bilderberg Group, a private annual gathering of intellectual figures, political leaders, and business executives. If you've never heard of the Bilderbergs, they're like the top of the iceberg of crazy conspiracy shit. And they're some of the, I mean, if Peter Thiel is a part of it, he's pretty conspiratorial, so, you know, dude's a conspiracy. Thiel is a member of the Republican Party. He contributes to both Libertarian and Republican candidates. He endorsed Ron Paul in 2008. Then contributed to John McCain. He's been around. He's spent a lot of money in politics. He's had a lot of money to spend in politics. He's one of the largest donors to Republican candidates in 2022. J.D. Vance was one of the people he supported in 22, but we knew that. According to Open Secrets, Thiel's PAC was only okay. That's sorry about that. That was a sidetrack. Philanthropy. Okay. Artificial intelligence, life extension, seasteading, the Thiel Fellowship, which is supposed to be like, you don't know what you do with your life, so you get a college degree, and he tries to like get people to drop out of college and create their own ventures. He's literally paying people to not go to college. That's funny. And there's other stuff too. Personal life, he's married to his partner Matt Danzeisen. That's a tough name to say, because you think Dan Eisen or Danzeisen. It could be Danzeisen, I don't know. Anyway, I'm perseverating on the guy's name. You can tell it's been a half hour of recording. He plays chess. He's a Christian. He's a promoter of Christian anthropology. He's somewhat heterodox. He believes Christianity is true, but doesn't feel a compelling need to convince other people of that. He's commented on CNBC. He's been interviewed by Charlie Rose on PBS. He's done this, he's done that. Then you get the idea. He's got, like, I don't know how many. He's got, we're done. I'm done. Listen, you've listened to me talk for technically over half an hour now about Peter Thiel. And like I said, this is just a drop in the ocean. This is really just a start. What is there to take away from this guy? Well, if Curtis Yarvin was sort of like the overworked brains of these people, trying to come up with like the CEO of America Man kind of stuff, and J.D. Vance is kind of their guy in office doing the things and making sure that things are done the way that they want them done, then Peter Thiel is kind of like the big bankroll of it all. He's the guy who owns all the companies. He's the guy who's directly in charge of it. He's the Don of the PayPal Mafia. What can I say? That's really all there is to it. So yeah, that's kind of how that goes. I'm going to step away now. I'm going to ask you to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you've learned or what you'd like to know. Maybe there'll be a sequel. I am still working on a response video to the, again, just amazing outpouring of support you gave me when I was on the last video. Hopefully this one gets something good. If you enjoy this video, do subscribe to the channel. These long videos are less common, but I do like to make them once in a while. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining me, as always, on this channel. Pieces. Oh, we're trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Can we do it? That's up to you. Pieces.